topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
This is Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. Do you want to live a more fulfilling life? Do you want to live your legacy and achieve your personal, professional, and financial goals? Well, coming up on Divya Parekh's Beyond Confidence, you will hear real stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers who have stepped into discomfort, shattered their status quo, and are living the life they want. You will learn how relationships are the key to achieving your aspirations and financial goals. Moving your career or business forward does not have to happen at the expense of your personal or family life, or vice versa. Learn more at www.divyaparekh.com, and you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. This is Beyond Confidence, and now here's your host, Divya Parekh.
Good morning, listeners. We are here together, and holidays are upon us. So it is so wonderful that we are in the midst of holidays and there are a lot of exciting things. And I want to share something very exciting. I just recently spoke on a TEDx stage. So excited because it was one of the things that I wanted to do on my bucket list. And as you get ready for 2025, it's important to have that bucket list, even if it is just 2 or 3 things, because that's what's going to shape what your 2025 is going to be. In the beginning of 2024, I had decided that I wanted to be on TEDx stage. I wasn't sure if it would happen or not. The key is dreaming about it, and then from dream to making it a reality, and then going for it. So if you want that to happen, we ask you to get our books, because any of our books, especially the Entrepreneur's Garden and Expert to Influencer, will help you do that. Take your dreams to making it your destiny. And also want to thank you, each and every one of you, for being part of our show. And we really wish you a wonderful, wonderful holidays season where it's the joy of giving and sharing love and making memories with your loved ones. So let's bring in our guest. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So we start out from the early beginnings in life. Do you recall a moment or a person who left a positive mark on you?
You know, I was very, very lucky that I had a lot of supportive neighbors in my neighborhood that gave me advice that I still think about today. And I had a mentor of somewhat in my 20s that talked to me about money. And I think because of the people that touched me throughout the years, it kind of molded me to the way I am. I have to say my father was my biggest inspiration, because I always am looking to emulate how he would handle any kind of situation. But I've been very, very lucky throughout the years to have great people in my life.
So what would you say that made them great mentors?
You know, sometimes a great mentor will put you in the moment to steer you in the moment. And then sometimes mentors will tell you what can happen in the future, and you will understand it better. And the way you use what they give you is the way your life will kind of move forward. One mentor in my 20s told me that I would never understand money until I went bankrupt. And I told him, I go, well, I guess I never want to understand money because I never want to go bankrupt. And he goes, every great entrepreneur who is pushing themselves will either go bankrupt or lose it all and have to start all over again. And then they truly will understand what mistakes they did, how to protect them in the future. And you always hope that happens early on in your careers. And so it actually happened to me during the recession, where I was worth several million, and I went $4 million in debt. Nothing I had any value. And I was able, right then and there, I realized exactly what that mentor told me 20 years, almost 15 years earlier. And because of that, when I was building back up what I had, I made corrections. And I remembered exactly what he told me. And so the mistakes I'd made previously, I made sure never to make them again. And even though I was $4 million in debt, I went on to selling one of the largest art galleries in the United States. And I have a big real estate company. And I now do pretty well for myself, even though in 2009, I was $4 million in debt.
Well, 2008, I don't think so anybody was there who remained untouched by it.
I agree. I have to agree.
Because I remember a lot of pain during that time myself. So I can definitely see. You mentioned about not having to make the same mistakes. So can you share with us the mistakes that you made at that time so that our listeners can learn from it?
Yeah, I owned an art gallery called the Fascination Street Fine Art in Denver, Colorado. And I would take every dollar I made and a lot of the money I paid myself and put it right back in the company. And I never, ever kept a cushion, never kept a bank account that just had a rainy day fund in it, and never thought there was going to be a hiccup in the economy. So I was never looking to the future. I was only looking for today. And when you do not look into the future and understand the economy is not in your control, you do not control it at all. I don't care how big your company is. And once you understand that and do things, have a rainy day fund, protect your personal assets, your business assets, and always have money to lean back on, that is so important. And if I would have had that, I probably would have been worth $100 million, because I was big into real estate. And when my gallery tanked and all my real estate was worthless, if I would have had a rainy day fund here in Denver, I could have bought up a ton of property on pennies on the dollar and really did very well for myself. But I was living for the moment, spending too much on things I should be spending on, and definitely not looking into the future.
Mm-hmm. So definitely. So it sounds like, you had a company, you lost it, and then you rebuild it. So what was that transition like? And what did going from 4 million in debt, how did you come back to where you're at?
I was just not only $4 million in debt. In 30 days, my wife and I almost lost her child, unborn child.
So sorry to hear that.
Yeah, almost lost her life. And then I was going through financial problems. And then this is all within 30 days. And in January 5th, 2009, I had a massive heart attack. It's called the Widowmaker. And usually people don't come back from that. And so I realized I was given a second chance on this earth. And I came back with a vengeance. I did start to look into the future. I did think of everything that guy told me. I redid my art gallery. My art gallery was very tired and did not look welcoming. And I took money I did not have and totally rehabbed my art gallery, made it look beautiful and stunning. And it was during the recession, and everybody called me crazy and said, Aaron, you don't have any clients now. Why are you doing all this? And I go, if I build it, they will come. A famous line from a movie. And that's exactly what happened. 6 months later, my gallery, the economy started to come back around slowly but surely. old clients would fall into the gallery sometime and they would love what they saw. And then the gallery just boomed again. And I was within, Denver was the last to hit the recession and the first to come out. And I was very lucky that I started to look into the future and do all the right things and not for the moment. And I slowly but surely got myself out of there. I was able to scrape some money to buy some real estate, and at pennies on the dollar, not as much as I would like. And all of the things I did, all the hustle I did, went to work and worked for me, and I became very successful because of it.
Mm-hmm. So many of the younger generations would learn a lot from this, because success doesn't happen over a night, over a minute, as people tell us. So especially those instant TikTok and quick fix ads. So you mentioned that, you did the hustle, you moved through it, and that's really, really important. But so much is happening, with the real estate pricing is so high right now, that so interest rates may be high. The house pricing have escalated. So for the younger generation, for them to have a house is like a dream, oh, if somebody doesn't support me, even if I save, it's not going to happen. What can you tell them about the side hustles that you talk about with the garage sale? So even with their jobs, they have their jobs, how can they build their future by having a side hustle?
That's a great question. And when I was going through the recession, I actually leaned on all my experiences on going to garage sales, estate sales, using Craigslist, buying and selling on eBay. I was looking at any way I could put money in my pocket. And because we have Facebook Marketplace, Nextdoor Marketplace, eBay, people can just start with having a garage sale, whether it's at their house, at their apartment, even putting it all on Facebook Marketplace, generating some money, and then use that money to start to buy and sell collectibles or anything that they have of value. Go to every state has a whole bunch of live auctions or online auctions that people can buy and check the prices and then flip it, either put it back on eBay, see if you buy storage units, go through that, see what's valuable in those. Learn from my book, How to Become the Garage Sale Millionaire. It's not a get rich quick fix. You have to take your time and go to a lot of garage sales and look at a lot of things on eBay, but become an expert in a handful of things and then knowledgeable in a lot of things, and do your daytime job. And at night, this is a great side hustle.
So you mentioned about states having some live auctions. So tell us, where are the, for example, what kind of things are available, and where are they getting this, and where can people learn about the state auctions?
So if you Google live auctions in your city or in your state, you'll come up with some of the biggest ones that keep on doing them over and over again. And then you'll get on their email list. And so when they have their next online auction or a live auction, they'll email you. You want to get on as many as possible. And throughout the United States, the government has online auctions. The Treasury, the IRS, all these places have online auctions that you can get on and buy things and get them shipped to you. Some bigger things you have to go and pick up. And then you get a great eBay site, and you put the smaller valuable things on eBay, the bigger things on Facebook Marketplace. And you're going to start to see you're going to make more money doing this than probably what your job pays within the first 6 months of doing it. Now, you have to put time. It's not overnight. But if you do your research and learn the side hustle, you'll make a lot of money.
So I'm sure you've probably anticipated my next question. You talked about Treasury and IRS. So tell us what is and government? So what kind of things they're putting on live auction and online? And again, so you mentioned that for state, to recap, like, people can put in live auction in their city, they can find it. But what about these other entities?
So you're going to see a lot of vehicles, coins, jewelry, a lot of that stuff, probably even high-end purses. The state and the feds take anything of value and leave the rest for everybody else. And so you're going to have to be very familiar with buying coins and jewelry, understanding what is 14 karat gold over 18 karat gold. What is sterling silver over silver plated? All these things. How can you tell the difference between silver plated and silver? It's a magnet. It's using a magnet. I'll give you the answer on that one. I see something, they call it gold, but it's white gold. How do you know it's white gold, not silver? All these things that you need to become an expert for, especially if you buy it online. And, people say, oh, well, that's easy, Aaron. I can just look at the stamp. Everything is stamped. Well, I will tell you, if something's stamped 14 karat, there could be as much as a 50-50 chance that stamp is a fake stamp. And it is a fake, it's not real gold. It's not real silver. If you buy a lot of silver from not an authentic store, you bought it from overseas, good chance I get it retested right now. Good chance that diamond that you think is real, it's a fake man-made diamond. So all these things, not only do you have to be good on buying it at a great price, you have to make sure what you're buying is real.
Yeah, so sounds like it is an art. So going back to, so let's say you mentioned about vehicles. So where can people find these auction sites?
In Denver, there are several auction sites. And why there's so many vehicles is because when cars get towed by the city, people have 30 to 90 days to pick up that vehicle. If the vehicle is not picked up, it is auctioned off. And you do get a title. It's a different kind of title, but you still get title to that vehicle. The car, good chance, may not start or whatever. But if you're handy with vehicles, this is the way of making a lot of money, because these vehicles, for whatever reason, were on the side of the road or were parked illegally, and now they just need a little love, and re-auction them off or sell them or use them. And you'll see every major city has a ton of online vehicle sales, because it's just, that's what happens when they get towed and everything like that. They eventually go to auction.
Interesting. So you mentioned that there are vehicles and jewelry and all of that. Now, and you also referred to eBay. How could people turn the eBay into the best side hustle?
eBay is wonderful. So if you can ship it, that's what I imagine is the best thing for eBay. Everybody says, well, God, I have garden furniture and a couch or an antique end unit. Those are not good things to do on eBay. You can say they must pick it up in Denver or wherever you live. But a lot of the good things are smaller items: coins, jewelry, art, stamps, baseball cards, collectible fishing poles, tin toys, anything that's smaller that can be easily shipped. That's what eBay is built to do. Books, first edition books all day long, because you can insure them and they're easy to be shipped, and you can take great pictures of them. And, and a lot of times it's easy to find out prices of these items, because you can go into eBay in an area called completed auctions and find what that item has actually sold for in 90 days. but you definitely want to open up an eBay store and have it set up and start selling stuff, because until you hit the 50 item mark, eBay does not take you seriously. Neither does any other buyer.
Interesting. And so based on what you're sharing, it seems pretty easy. Now, question is like, what are the pitfalls that people need to look out for? Because everything, when we're talking about seems easy, but like, what could be the top ways to make money on there? And then what are the pitfalls that people could avoid based on your experience?
So it's almost one and the same. A lot of times I make money on going and buying stuff on eBay that is not described properly or misspelled. There's a lot of artists that, people have fat fingers and they accidentally hit the key buttons too many times. And so there's artists out there in my world that I'll tell you, one of the more famous artists alive, Michael Goddard. And so many people, and there's an old dead artist named Goddard too. One spells with one D and the other one spells with two Ds. The one I buy and sell is one D. And so if you misspell his name, nobody's going to see it. And so you go, and good chance you'll find these people that misspell or misdescribe it, and they haven't had anybody make them any offers. You come in, make them a lowball offer, you buy it, bring it on in, look at it, and then describe it, take good pictures, and spell everything correctly. And suddenly you made some good money just from somebody not taking their time on listing that item.
Very interesting. So it's about also like, what kind of descriptions you're doing. And are there ways where you can follow, like, but does eBay describe, these are the really good sellers? Is there a ranking where you can see who you're buying from and kind of learn from them? Like, what is it about? Like, what their store page looks like and all of that.
Yes. Actually, people can go to my eBay site, the Garage Sale Millionaire on eBay, and you can look at the 1,500 items I'm selling and see what I buy and sell and how I list it and everything that I do. And I have no problem people taking ideas from my eBay page. You can see everything. I buy and sell art and coins and baseball cards. It kind of shows you that nothing's off limits to make money on. And then you can see my descriptions and all my photos, and you can get a lot of tips and tricks by going to the Garage Sale Millionaire on eBay. And people want to ask me questions, they can go to my Facebook page on the Garage Sale Millionaire.
Well, that's a really good tip. Like, you are making money. So we've talked about making the money online. Let's kind of move towards real estate. You've said that you have a real estate company. And again, as we talked about, there are these things that, again, for the younger generation. So how can they go about where they're not only making money, but, they are building their own assets?
The big, right now, it is a little more difficult. And the reason why, because interest rates are very, very high. But if you are a first-time buyer, this is actually a good time for you, because sometimes some banks will only ask for 3 to 5% down. And you get one shot at doing that. Also, if you're a veteran, you have a chance to get a very inexpensive loan. And my advice to anybody who is trying to get into real estate, instead of renting, find a home that needs a lot of work on it in an up and coming neighborhood, and work on it and live in it at the same time and build up equity. Instead of paying rent, you're building up equity and you're fixing your house or your townhouse or your condo. And then, after you fix it up, then put it on the market and then move into somewhere else and do it again. You don't want to pay rent and have a fix and flipper and do it the same, because you'll use up all your extra money. but that's what I did starting. I would live in the place that I was fixing up and just keep on and save money on rent, or I'd live at my parents and fix something up. But you need to take every dollar and just start that way, slow and precise, and put it on the market, sell it, take that money and put it into another real estate project. And that's how you create real wealth.
That's very powerful. So a couple of questions that are coming to me are like, one, there's so many different properties and so many things are involved. Like depending on the property that you're buying, you have to see whether it's in a good neighborhood, good school systems, whether it's a single unit home, multiple unit home. Do you have any tips for first-time buyers as to how can they go about buying something that they will value?
I always go through the theory of you want to be the ugliest house in a beautiful neighborhood. You want to be the smallest house in a large house neighborhood. You don't want to set the curve on the value of your home. You want to be a good value, and that's what you go into. There's always that one house in that one part of the neighborhood that is ugly or is on the corner of the busy street, but that whole neighborhood is great. So you want to find that, basically that diamond in the rough. And yes, schools are very, very important. And you want to look at the school. You can look up great schools online, and you can look up the crime rates online. Every city has an easy way to look that up. And then when you find a home, don't make the mistake so many people do and not get it inspected by a home inspector. You want it inspected from top and bottom. You want the sewer scope to see if the sewer is in good condition. I can't tell you how many homes I bought that the sewer is horrible, and it could cost anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 to fix that sewer. You want to do a radon check if your house is you have radon in the neighborhood. Definitely termites. All those things. You want to be as familiar with that home before you put your money down that you can be.
Yeah, no, those are very, very powerful tips as to what type of property to buy. And now, what about commercial real estate? I know, a lot of commercial real estate is not being used because of the pandemic, where people started going remote, but now a lot of companies are coming back. What are your thoughts on that?
So I have most of my portfolio is commercial. And I use the same kind of idea. I find commercial real estate that's ugly, that needs a lot of love, that's usually vacant. And I come on in there, and I look at the whole area. If I fix it up, will a renter want to pay me, want to lease this place? And if that is yes, I will put money into it. I'll take the time to get it leased up. I'll hold it for a couple of years and then get a great cap rate, and then I'll sell it. And this is the way I do it all the time. I never benefit the owner from trying to get him money. I don't want it, which that means is I don't want it to look beautiful and 100% full. I want it to look ugly. I want it to be vacant, but I want it to have potential. It's called value add. All the things I buy are value add. And that basically means that I come into the picture, I fix it, clean it up, and get it rented. And I add the value by my knowledge.
Yeah, no, that's definitely powerful. So now you've mentioned that you fix it up. So are you doing that personally, and because contractors are notorious? I don't know about you, but I've not sure what it's about them, but there is, except for one or two, there's always some delay or cost prices go up and they're not as committed. And so let's say the two scenarios, one where people can fix it themselves, but not everybody knows how to fix it up. So what would be your advice for both the cases?
Okay. Well, nobody that knows me would trust me with a hammer. So I will cause more damage than there is if somebody gave me a hammer. So after a while, you are going to get a lot of lemons of contractors that come in, but that's where you get references. And basically, after a couple homes and you staying on the project, you're not letting people come and go as they please. You're looking at things, you're getting 3 or 4 quotes to do something. And then when you find somebody that's really good and treats you right, you treat them right. You pay them on time. You give them all the work. And basically, over time, you'll find real high quality subcontractors that will do a good job for you. But yes, you will get burned. You never want to give more than a small deposit so they can buy materials up front or they'll walk away. You want to kind of give as you go. And just make sure you're always, if you're doing that, you give them lien waivers. Because once you pay them in full, you want to make sure they don't come back after you and put a lien on your project.
And those are some very powerful tips. And you mentioned that you are into commercial real estate. So any pointers like as to which type of commercial? I know you mentioned that it needs to be ugly or a diamond in the rough. But how can kind of people think about the commercial real estate? Are there any key pointers to like go through those?
So, I buy all kinds of commercial. I like retail. And so I will find an area that is doing very, very well and look for places to buy that I can fix up and rent out. Obviously, if it's a dead part of town and you get a good deal, you're not going to do well. So you want to be in an area that is either up and coming or already there. And where you're buying, the only reason why it's not doing well is because it hasn't been updated for 30 years. I also buy things. One of my favorite things that I bought, it's a very small part of my portfolio, very, very small part. There's an area in Colorado called Georgetown. And I bought a small restaurant there. And then I realized it was ready to be rented out as a restaurant. And normally I would not go to another city, a mountain town, but it backs up to roughly 50 feet of river. So I looked at the bigger picture. So it was in the heart of the town. And I realized down the road, somebody could level this small building and put a small hotel, a bigger restaurant with a deck overlooking the river. So when you have things, you have to look at the bigger picture. What could be used with this land? Not so much always the building, but the land. And it's called a cover land play. And that's what I did. I bought it for more of a long-term hold and to see how that mountain town does. And then I'll figure out what I do with it. But right now I have it rented. I make good money every month. So it was a smart investment.
I see. No, definitely. So these are some great pointers. So as we kind of come to a close, share with us, how people can reach out. Tell us more about your book. What can people get from that?
Great, thank you. The book is How to Become the Garage Sale Millionaire. You can get it on Amazon, or you can go to my website, thegaragesalemillionaire.com. The book will teach you everything about making eBay a side hustle, how to use Facebook Marketplace and all the other marketplaces, buying, online auctions, how to bid like a pro. Even there's a chapter on how to negotiate, because if you don't know how to negotiate, you're not going to be able to get that great deal. One of the chapters is how to put on a great garage sale. So there is a lot of information in there. And if you read it and you take your time, you can make a lot of money turning this into a side hustle. And you can even go to eBay and look at my the Garage Sale Millionaire eBay site. And if you want to contact me, you can also contact me through Facebook.
Oh, that's fantastic. Do you have any last minute or tips or message that you'd like to share?
Being the Garage Sale Millionaire, which I have done this for many, many years, was able to become a millionaire by the time I was 21. And it was all taking time and learning my craft, going to lots of garage sales, going to a lot of live auctions, looking at stuff on eBay all the time. You don't always have to buy. You just have to get the feel of how people are buying and what's the tips and tricks. Like on all kinds of auctions, you want to be one of the last bidders to bid. You don't want to be an early bidder because you'll be basically one of the reasons why you're raising up the value on that item. So these are all things you learn when you sit in on auctions and you learn your craft. You go to garage sales and you learn what's being bought and sold and what kind of monies are being sold that are going for those items. And so the more time you put into your craft, the better you get it. And as the Garage Sale Millionaire, I have to say I've been doing it for over 30 years. And that's why I wrote the book, because all the years of me learning, I put it in a book so you don't have to take 30 years to learn it.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who want to have this as a side hustle. And you said something very powerful, that go and feel it. Get your craft in, get the feel for it, experience it, and enrich your insights, and then implement it. Sometimes it's not just going about and buying it. So thank you, Aaron, for your sharing your insights and tips as people are thinking about having that side hustle. Because so many times what happens is that you may be laid off, you may have a rough year, or that business is not going well. So you could start out small and see where it takes you. Thank you, listeners. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just want to say thank you for having me on, and it's done very good. And I'm glad you brought me on to teach your listeners how, even when it's bad times and you're short money, there's always a will and there's a way.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. And we want to wish you happy holidays and wonderful times, joyous times with your loved ones. And just be there, enjoy the moments and think about how do you want to take on that 2025. Take it by the horns and take charge of your next year as we step into it. And thank you, Juan, for making the show possible. Be well and take care until next time.
Thank you for being part of Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. We hope you have learned more about how to start living the life you want. Each week on Beyond Confidence, you hear stories of real people who've experienced growth by overcoming their fears and building meaningful relationships. During Beyond Confidence, Divya Parekh shares what happened to her when she stepped out of her comfort zone to work directly with people across the globe. She not only coaches people how to form heart connections, but also transform relationships to mutually beneficial partnerships as they strive to live the life they want. If you are ready to live the life you want and leverage your strengths, learn more at www.divyaparekh.com. And you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. We look forward to you joining us next week.